Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I basically wanted to ask you one simple question. Are video games too easy or too hard? And the reason that I want to ask you that question is because if you can see down there, obviously Elden Ring is very huge and we've got a lot of commotion about that game as to whether or not it's really difficult, it's way too easy, too hard. Everyone's really, the general consensus is that it's too hard, okay? Now, before we continue, make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button. This is a quick video for you. And here's what I'm basically going to say. To attack this very simply, I think that what we've been seeing over the years is that video games have been getting easier and easier, and we've basically had perfect sense of direction and where to go and what to do. And I think that's one of the craziest things. I mean, if you really think about it, the whole game, and I've spoken to several friends of mine who have purchased Elden Ring. I actually haven't purchased this game just yet. I have watched gameplay, I have seen what you do and how it goes and how crazy it is. And the general thing that each of my friends have said with this game is while I'm fairly certain they said it's better to play with other people, but if you are playing alone, it is basically you just go out there and do whatever you want. There's no guide, there's nothing that's really telling you what you need to do. You have to figure it out on your own. Now, there is one other game that I want to bring to attention because I feel like this is one of the games that kind of really started this whole go out and do it on your own scenario, and that is Breath of the Wild. Now, obviously, that game, commercial success, amazing, still selling well for Nintendo right now, but the reality is, and I did play and finish Breath of the Wild, by the way, the reality is this, okay? You essentially have some side quests like finding your memories and things like that, but the basis of the whole game is one thing, and that's really all you get, okay? And that's defeat Ganon. You have other options. You don't have to defeat him in one hit. You can deal with the mythological creatures. I can't remember what their name is right now, but you can deal with the four of them, and I know, I get that provides more sense of direction, but in reality, you basically had to figure out everything on your own, and that was one of the things I think that made that game such a success. You had to work at it, had to figure out what you were doing and where you were going to go, just explore and find. Now, that game, while it was much easier, I feel, than Elden Ring, that game was still quite difficult, and it's very vast open world. People have played thousands of hours with that game, but at the same point in time, the whole reality of the game is basically that it was pretty much you could do anything and go anywhere. Now, there was, you had to find the shrines and things like that. And like I said, there's a whole lot of side quests, and you do have this idea of what to do and what you can do and where you can go. But reality is that game was, I wouldn't say it's the first one that sets you off without really a beacon, because that's what I was told, that there is no real beacon or sense of direction in Elden Ring. Again, I just want to make this clear. I haven't played Elden Ring, okay? I'm talking to you based on people who have spoken to me about Elden Ring and how much they've played that and how much they enjoyed it, and essentially what they said to me. And again, I want to reiterate, there is you basically make it on your own. You do what you need to do. Now, I'm hearing a lot about people that are saying the game is too hard and that this game is way too difficult. Why would you make it like this? We need some direction. But the reality is this, and I think we've been getting, as gamers, way too comfortable. You've got games that are open world, like Grand Theft Auto basically sends you somewhere, you do the thing, and then you finish, you go to the next spot, you do the thing, and then you finish. A lot of games are like this now, and they're wide open world, and you just do what you need to do, and the game pretty much holds your hand, okay? It doesn't make the game easier for you. It doesn't teach you everything you need to do. But essentially, with these games where you have a vast open world, what we've been seeing is that games have gotten a lot easier and more basically directed for where you need to go. If you were to go back to the old school games, by the way, those retro games like Nintendo and Sega games, those games were way more difficult than you could imagine or remember. If you go back and play those games now, I'm telling you right now, go back and play Castlevania, for instance. And I know it's a whole different thing, but go back and play those games. Castlevania, I believe Contra was another one. And there was another game, I believe we called it Shadow Warriors, but it could have been, I can't remember what that name was for that game. Ninja Gaiden, that's the one, that's the name for that game. Those games, you go back and play that trifecta of games on the Nintendo, and you will see what difficult gaming actually is like. Now, I'm not saying that Elden Ring is easy. I'm not saying that it was made to be easy or that it needs to be easier. What I'm saying is this: you need to take that game for what it is. Now, what that game is you go out and you discover and you find there's not any requirement for an easy mode, because the whole game is designed to train you up, and you work and you get better, and the better you are, the better you get, the more you can handle, the more you take on, the more you do. That is what that game, from what I've heard from everyone who's spoken about it, that is what that game does. That is what that game is for. Now, obviously, From Software, with games like Dark Souls and all of those things, they have a different but more linear formula to how things happen. And this, again, is what I've heard. I haven't played those games, but those games, the idea of a linear game does give you a bit more of a hand-holdy sort of scenario. And so now, because they've taken that away, people are kind of getting really annoyed with this idea that this game should be a little easier, or maybe help them out a little bit more. I don't think that that was the reality of what From Software was going for when making that game, and for the experience that they wanted to give people. Now, I get it if people are asking for an easy mode, they want it to be made with less difficulty, but the reality is, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, it's a go hard or go home kind of game. Based on everything I've heard, you either have to get better or quit. And I would recommend, by the way, if you've paid $80 or $90 or whatever amount of money you paid to play that game, that you get better. Don't go home because you just spent all your money. Now, obviously, you can take it back, but I've been hearing from so many people that that is one of the most incredible games that they have played. It's pretty much already a contender for Game of the Year. So I would really, if I were you and you're complaining that the game is too hard, here's my one recommendation for you. And I'm not going to say just get better, because that's what everyone's saying, okay? What I'm going to say is this: keep playing. Keep practicing and keep working at it. I get it. You don't like the difficulty level, but over time, you will get better. Now, I'm not saying just get better. Like I said, over time, you'll naturally get better. That's going to happen. It's going to happen with the more experiences that you have. Now, in the beginning of the game, you might be limited to what you can do, and I can understand the frustration with that. I can understand why you want to just be able to go anywhere and do anything. But let me take it back to Breath of the Wild and just say to you right now, even in that game where you could go anywhere or do anything, you still had limitations. You still had things that you couldn't do even if you did them and you went to places. For instance, if you went to a cold area and you didn't have any cold clothing, warmer clothing to wear so that you wouldn't freeze, you would begin to lose health. These are things that you couldn't do. If you go to that volcano section with the Gorons, by the way, you would start to burn up, and you couldn't even use wooden weapons and things like that because they would burn up and be destroyed. There are always limitations in things like this. This game, I think why it's going crazy for everyone is because these are limitations I don't think people expected to see in this game. I don't think they even expected it to go this crazy or this hard, and that makes it more difficult. And obviously you want to enjoy the game, and that's why I'm going to say this one last time: keep playing. Just keep playing the game for now. Keep trying, keep working to get better, and just keep doing what you're doing, and you will naturally progress. You'll naturally get better. I get it if it feels like a slog, but at the moment, that's what you've got. Okay, that's what it is. So you've purchased this game, you've tried it out, play it out. There's no point in complaining and wanting an easier game. I get it. Maybe you'd like it to be easier. Maybe you want a different mode there so it makes it easier. But the reality there becomes, and this is the last part I'm going to say about this, is removing that challenge actually makes the game boring for you. Now, I get it. There are people who just want to play through the whole game. They just want to get through it and get it done and finish it so they know the story, and then they can review the game or whatnot, do whatever you want to do. I understand that, okay? But that takes away from what the game is or what it's trying to do and the experience that From Software is giving you or trying to give you. So don't let your frustration with the difficulty level in that game take away from what that game is. And that's really all that I wanted to say about that. I know I probably went on for a bit longer than I was expecting to go, but that's what I wanted to say today for that. Everyone is getting annoyed with this game being difficult. Just remember, there are more difficult games. There were more difficult games. Yes, it's 2022. Yes, we've been accustomed to the way things have been for a while, but this is what Elden Ring is. This is what Elden Ring is giving you. So take it, try it, enjoy it, get better at it as you go, naturally progress. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, if you like the opinions that I have in here, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me that you disagree with me. That'd be great. Tell me that you think that I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about because I haven't played the game. I've only spoken to other people who have played the game. Tell me all of these things. Let me know down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, it's
game over, man. It's game over.
Court's adjourned.